Why are Trump and Boris so happy to risk a recession? The truth is hidden by a trick that quietly transfers your money to the super rich. CEOs earn hundreds of times more than their average workers. Trump and Boris want to support these job creators by cutting regulations and taxes. But studies have flipped some of our basic assumptions about money. The highest paid CEOs are consistently the worst performers. And the most overpaid CEOs perform even worse, actually destroying shareholder value. Overconfident, they may surround themselves with yes men and refuse to reverse bad decisions. Now, who does that sound like? Another study found that CEOs who won awards went on to perform poorly, well below average. And the awards hide another secret. A string of studies has shown that CEOs have surprisingly little impact on the success of their companies. One study measured their influence at just 4 to 5%. For CEOs, overconfidence is blinding, but also crucial to their perceived value. Studies show that people focus more on confidence than performance. There's no evidence that Jim Cramer is more accurate than other pundits, but look at his confidence.
Okay, Peter writes, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is real. If there's one takeaway other than a plus 400 somebody, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. I mean, if anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. That's just being silly. Don't be silly.
The following week, Bear Stearns collapsed. John Oliver had some fun replacing the sounds of Cramer's decisive red buttons.
Pay back their unhappy clients. Things keep working out. Is it any wonder that Norfolk Southern and Union Pacific keep running? Buy high and then sell low. A time-honored way to lose money.
Trump is an icon of overconfidence.
I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me. I know more about courts than any human being on earth. Nobody knows more about trade than me. I know more about steelworkers than anybody that's ever run for office. Nobody knows more about construction than I do. I know more about drones than anybody. I think I know more about the environment than most people.
Trump's book, The Art of the Deal, helped him find fame. It was written as a memoir, but the true author, Tony Schwartz, said Trump played no role in writing it.
I felt guilty about writing The Art of the Deal with Trump for 30 years. Who would have possibly guessed at the time that it would be such a consequential decision? I created the Donald Trump he wished to be. I wrote every word of that book with no engagement with him. He is spectacularly uninformed and ignorant. I don't believe he has read a book in his adult life.
Who are your favorite authors?
Well, I have a number of favorite authors. I think Tom Wolfe is excellent.
Did you read Vanity of the Bonfires?
I did not.
It's a phenomenal book.
What book are you reading now?
Well, I'm reading,
Bonfire of the Vanities.
I'm reading my own book again because I think it's so fantastic, Tom.
What's the best book you've read beside Art of the Deal?
I really like Tom Wolfe's last book, and I think he's a great author. He's done a beautiful job.
Which book?
His current book. His current book. It's just out.
Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yes, and the man has done a very, very good job. And I really can't hear with his earphone, by the way.
Schwartz described the book as his greatest regret in life and called for it to be recategorized as fiction. Trump trades on the perception of success.
Everything I've done virtually has been a tremendous success.
Trump Shuttle, which no longer exists, Trump Vodka, which was discontinued, Trump Magazine, which folded, Trump World Magazine, which also folded, Trump University, over which he's being sued, and of course, the travel booking site GoTrump.com, whose brief existence was, I imagine, a real thorn in the side of anyone hoping GotRump.com featured a single thing worth masturbating to.
He is paid to put his name on buildings. Trump Tower skips 10 floors so that the higher floors sound more impressive.
Mr. Trump, with the exception of your family, have you ever been told no?
Oh, many times. I've been told no by him. No, many times. I mean, my whole life really has been a no, and I fought through it. I have been, and you know, I talk about it. It's not been easy for me. It has not been easy for me. And, you know, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
An investigation found the loan was in fact $60 million, or $140 million in today's money. The illusion of control is the CEO's best friend. It is also the president's best friend.
Our economy is doing great. We're having a little spat with China, and we'll win it.
Despite Obama and Trump's starkly different approaches, economic growth has continued in a straight line. In fact, despite Trump's tax cut, Obama's economy created more jobs in the same period. But Trump's corporate America first policies have boosted two things: the deficit and pollution. Air pollution kills around 107,000 people in the US each year. As Trump removes regulations, unhealthy air days are rising. His team even questioned the health impact of pollution. A former EPA official likened this to big tobacco's denial of health effects. The World Health Organization has said that air pollution is the new tobacco, causing 7 million deaths around the world and harming billions more. It has been linked to miscarriage, dementia, heart disease, and lower intelligence. The UK government has been repeatedly fined for failing to meet EU air quality standards. Boris paints EU regulations as a barrier to success, but can't seem to name one.
This kipper. This kipper, which has been presented to me just now by the editor of a national newspaper, who received it from a kipper smoker in the Isle of Man, who is utterly furious because after decades of sending kippers like this through the post, he has had his costs massively increased by Brussels bureaucrats who have insisted that each kipper must be accompanied by a plastic ice pillow. Pointless, expensive, environmentally damaging health and safety.
It is, in fact, a UK rule.
We can also get rid of so much of the pointless rules and regulations that are holding back this country. This gentleman here mentions bananas. It is absurd that we are told that you cannot sell bananas in bunches of more than 2 or 3 bananas. You cannot sell bananas with abnormal curvature of the fingers.
In truth, Boris, like Trump, wants to reduce the taxes and responsibilities of the wealthy. The real fart of the deal is the myth that all this is fair because we earn what we are worth. Research has found nothing special about CEOs except, well, their height. They are on average 3 inches taller. CEO pay isn't based on competition or results, it's based on perceptions. And the same could be said of many professions. A historian points out the only true solution.
1,500 private jets have flown in here to hear Sir David Attenborough speak about, how we're wrecking the planet. And I hear people talk in the language of participation and justice and equality and transparency. But then, I mean, almost no one raises the real issue of tax avoidance, right? And of the rich just not paying their fair share. I mean, it feels like I'm at a firefighters conference and no one's allowed to speak about water, right? We gotta be talking about taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it, taxes, taxes, taxes. All the rest is bullshit.
Boris and Trump are masters of distracting bullshit. Boris didn't campaign for a hard Brexit.
So how would you vote tomorrow if there was a referendum?
I'd vote to stay in the single market. I'm in favour of the single market. I want us to be able to trade freely.
But a hard Brexit was a path to power, tax cuts, and deregulation. For Trump, it was China.
China. China. China. China. China. China. China. It's the greatest theft in the history of the world.
Trump's tax cut helped the world's largest company, Amazon, to avoid paying any federal income tax on $11 billion of profit. Many companies used the tax savings to repurchase shares, boosting the bonuses of executives who then sold shares. Oracle's CEO made $250 million. It's a familiar story. Over 8 years, America's 92 most consistently profitable tax-dodging firms cut jobs by 1%, compared with the average job growth of 6%. And the CEOs of those 92 firms received particularly large pay rises. Lower corporate taxes boosted executive salaries, not jobs. But what happens when workers get a pay rise? When Henry Ford paid his workers $5 a day, double the typical manufacturing salary at the time, it paid off dramatically for the company. Ford called it one of his finest cost-cutting moves. Studies show that when workers receive a pay rise, they work harder, boosting productivity. This enlightened self-interest is in short supply. Economists agree that Brexit and Trump's trade war are major recession risks. But unlike taxes and regulations, recessions don't change the game. In the 3 years following the Great Recession, the top 1% saw its income rise by 31%, while the rest remained frozen in place. Sensing that the game was rigged, some later voted for Trump and Brexit. And they are now asked to lead the charge towards lower taxes for the wealthy and a mountain of national debt which will intensify the next recession. But a rebellion has begun. When officials offered Amazon a $3 billion tax break to build its headquarters in New York, the people stepped in.
We want to make sure that they know that this community is going to stand up and fight against this deal.
The world's biggest company just got sent packing thanks to an unfriendly welcome by New Yorkers.
We should not have a regressive tax system in which large, profitable corporations like Amazon pay nothing in federal income taxes.
People will take to the streets to demand a vote on the Brexit deal. Boris has tried to silence Parliament and the people, but we will be heard. And the Extinction Rebellion will occupy cities around the world. Global animal populations have dropped 60% since 1970. And scientists warn that we'll be next. Protesters want a jury-like system to weigh the evidence and make decisions without corporate influence. You can also join our little rebellion to help spread the truth. Let's not leave it to these guys.
This is a tough hurricane. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain.
Our next Brexit Bullshit Award goes to Boris for successfully lying his way to the top of Bullshit Mountain.
Crikey, this honour.
We'll post Boris's full acceptance speech to Patreon to thank you for your support.